The blue and red lights dancing in your rearview mirror aren't just colors, they are a physical weight. You feel them pressing against the back of your neck, vibrating through the glass, turning the interior of your car into a fishbowl where you are the only thing on display. You pull over, the gravel crunches under your tires like breaking bone. You kill the engine, but the silence that follows is even louder. It's the silence of a hunter approaching. You roll down the window. The air is cold and the smell of wet pavement fills the cabin. You see him in the side mirror, a silhouette blocked out by a flashlight that cuts through the darkness like a blade. Your heart isn't just beating, it's hammering against your ribs, trying to escape. You haven't done anything wrong. You were barely 5 miles over the limit. But that doesn't matter. In this moment, the road belongs to him. He reaches the window. He doesn't speak at first. He just lets the beam of light wander over your lap, your dashboard, the empty passenger seat. You offer your license, you offer your insurance, you are polite, you are professional, you're doing everything right. But then the atmosphere shifts. The officer doesn't take the documents and head back to his cruiser. Instead, he leans in. He rests his elbows on the door frame, invading your personal space. He looks you directly in the eyes, his expression unreadable, and he says 6 words that are designed to dismantle your confidence. He says, "I think you're hiding something." Your world stops. That sentence is a hook. You can feel it sinking in. Your mouth goes dry like you've been chewing on dust. Every instinct you have, every single nerve ending in your body is screaming at you to defend yourself. You want to laugh nervously. You want to tell him he's crazy. You want to open every door and trunk and bag you own just to prove that you are a good person. You want to say, "Officer, I promise, I have nothing to hide." Stop. Right there. That instinct, that urge to prove your innocence, that is the exact moment you lose. If you say those words, you have just handed him the keys to your life. You're about to walk into a trap that has been polished and perfected over decades of police training. You aren't just having a conversation anymore. You are in an interrogation and you didn't even realize it had started. I have spent years in courtrooms watching videos of this exact moment. I have seen good, honest people lose their jobs, their families, and their freedom because they didn't understand the psychology of those 6 words. "I think you're hiding something" isn't a statement of fact. It isn't a conclusion based on evidence. It is a provocation. It is a psychological crowbar designed to find a crack in your armor and pry it wide open. And today, I am going to show you how to weld that crack shut. I'm going to give you the exact words that will end this encounter before it turns into a nightmare. But to use them, you first have to understand the invisible game being played against you. When an officer says he thinks you're hiding something, he's not looking for a yes or a no. He's looking for a tell. Think of it like a high-stakes poker game. He's just raised the bet, and he's watching your face to see if you blink. This is a technique called a provocation statement. The goal is to trigger your fight or flight response. When your brain registers a threat, and a police officer accusing you of a crime is a massive threat, your body reacts automatically. Your pupils dilate, your hands might twitch, but most importantly, your eyes will betray you. Cops are trained to watch where your eyes go the instant they accuse you. Did you glance at the glove box? Did your eyes flicker toward the floor mats? Did you look in the rearview mirror toward the trunk? In a police report, that split-second involuntary movement becomes, "The suspect looked nervously toward the center console, leading me to believe a weapon or contraband was hidden there." Suddenly, his hunch has been transformed into reasonable suspicion or officer safety concerns. He didn't find anything in your car yet, but he found something in your eyes. He provoked a reaction, and now he's going to use that reaction to justify tearing your car apart. This is the innocence trap. The officer knows that an innocent person feels an overwhelming psychological need to be perceived as innocent. If I accuse you of being a thief, you don't just stay silent, you get offended. You explain, you argue, you try to show me your receipts. The officer is counting on that. He knows that if he stays quiet and keeps staring at you after saying he thinks you're hiding something, the silence will become unbearable. Most people will fill that silence with words. They'll say, "It's just my gym bag," or "I'm just coming from my friend's house, you can call him." Every word you volunteer is a gift to the prosecution. You might think you're being helpful, but you are actually providing the bricks for a wall they are building around you. If you say, "I don't have any drugs in here," the officer hears. He specifically mentioned drugs, which is suspicious. If you say, "You can look if you want," you have just waived your Fourth Amendment rights, the most powerful protection you have against the government. You have given up your shield because you were afraid of looking like you needed one. You have to realize that on this side of a dark road, you cannot win an argument with a police officer. You cannot talk him into liking you. You cannot prove your innocence to someone whose job is to find guilt. The law is not a conversation. It is a set of rules, and the rules say that his feeling or hunch is legally worthless. Under the Constitution, an officer needs specific, articulable facts to search you. I think he's hiding something is not a fact. It's a guess. And the Supreme Court has ruled time and time again that a guess is not enough to violate your privacy. But he's not going to tell you that. He's going to stand there in the dark with his heavy boots and his badge and his gun, and he's going to wait for you to crack. He's going to use the nothing to hide argument against you. He'll say, if you've got nothing to hide, why are you being so difficult? Why won't you just let me take a quick look so we can both get out of here? This is where you have to be strongest. This is where the tension is at its peak. You feel the sweat cooling on your forehead. You feel the urge to just give in so the stress stops. But you have to remember, your rights aren't for the guilty. Your rights are for everyone. If you don't use them, they disappear. So when the air is thick with accusation and he's waiting for you to crumble, you aren't going to stutter. You aren't going to look at the glove box. You aren't going to explain where you're going or who you were with. You are going to use the 4 pillars. These are the exact phrases, delivered with calm, quiet confidence, that shift the power back to you. The first pillar is the refusal to play. When he says, I think you're hiding something, you don't defend yourself. You look him in the eye and you say, Officer, I'm not required to answer that. It's simple. It's direct. It's not rude, but it is a stone wall. By saying this, you're telling him that his provocation didn't work. You're signaling that you know the law. You aren't giving him a tell. You aren't giving him a glance toward the back seat. You're closing the door on the interrogation before it can breathe. The second pillar is the shield. You must make it clear that your privacy is not up for negotiation. You say, I do not consent to any searches. Don't say it like a question. Don't say it like you're sorry. Say it as a statement of fact. This is the most important sentence you can ever speak during a traffic stop. Without your consent, the officer is stuck. He either has to have a real legal reason to search you, which he probably doesn't have if he's resorting to these mind games, or he has to let you go. The moment you say, I do not consent, you have created a legal record. If he ignores you and searches anyway, anything he finds can be thrown out of court because the search was illegal. But if you stay silent, or if you say, I guess so, you have lost that protection forever. The third pillar is the silence. After you have refused the search, the officer will likely try to keep the pressure on. He'll ask why you're being suspicious. He'll ask what you're afraid of. This is when you invoke your ultimate right, where you say, I am exercising my right to remain silent. I will not be answering any further questions without an attorney. Once you say those words, the game should be over. Legally, the interrogation must stop. You have invoked a constitutional protection that is hundreds of years old. You are no longer a person standing on a road. You are a citizen protected by the highest law of the land. The fourth and final pillar is the exit. You need to know if you are being detained or if this is just a high-pressure conversation. You ask the golden question, am I free to leave? If he says yes, you leave. You don't linger. You don't try to have a final word. You roll up your window and you drive away. If he says no, then you are being detained. And if you are being detained, he must have a legal reason. By asking, am I free to leave? You are forcing him to put his cards on the table. If he keeps you there without a valid reason, he is violating your rights, and that is something his department does not want to deal with in a courtroom. Imagine the difference between these two scenarios. In the first, you are nervous, babbling, and offering to show him your trunk to prove you're a good guy. 2 hours later, you're sitting on the curb in handcuffs while he empties your bags onto the pavement because he found a suspicious-looking bottle of aspirin. In the second scenario, you are calm, you speak the 4 pillars, you remain silent. The officer realizes that his psychological tricks aren't working. He realizes that you are not a victim. You are someone who knows your rights. He hands you a warning for your taillight, grumbles something under his breath, and walks away. The power of the law is not in the books. It's in your mouth. The, I think you're hiding something tactic only works if you are afraid. It only works if you believe that you have to prove your innocence. You don't. In this country, you are presumed innocent. The burden of proof is on him, not you. When you see those lights, when you feel that dry throat and that racing heart, remember this. You are the one in control of your words. The officer has the badge, but you have the Constitution. He has the flashlight, but you have the law. Don't let the darkness of the road or the intensity of his stare make you forget that. Memorize those 4 phrases. Practice them until they are muscle memory. I am not required to answer that. I do not consent to any searches. I am exercising my right to remain silent. Am I free to leave? The next time you're sitting in that car, and the officer leans in, and the silence stretches out, and he tries to make you feel like a criminal just for existing, you'll be ready. You won't blink, you won't look away. You'll just use the words, and you'll watch as the trap he set for you snaps shut on empty air. You are not hiding anything. You are simply exercising the right to be left alone. And that is the most powerful thing you can do.